Our first special presentation for the evening is a video that highlights the final SMARTS meeting of the 21-22 school year. On May 11th, this talented group of students came together for one final time, and throughout the meeting, the foundation of the district student voice group was reinforced. Students should be involved, should plan, should advocate, should transform, and evaluate. Each school was asked to make a presentation and share with their peers 3 positive accomplishments or initiatives that their team led during the school year, and 1 wish, something that they would like to see happen and plan to make happen during the next school year. The video we are about to watch gives an overview of the day's activities and the positive interaction between our students. And planning is already underway for our first meeting of the 22-23 school year with our students from SMARTS. Our next presentation will highlight our retirees, and I know we do have 1 retiree, maybe more, in the audience with us tonight. So if you are a retiree and when I call your name, if you could come forward and walk the horseshoe and thank or shake everyone's hand. Stephen Poston, a miscellaneous laborer. He's retiring from Grove Patterson Academy with 20 years and 8 months of service. Barbara Hirsch, paraprofessional. She was at McTighe with 26 years and 9 months of service. Karen Bowman, administrative assistant. She's retiring from Grove Patterson Academy with 27 years and 6 months of service. Ann Haynes, a bus aide. She's retiring with 28 years and 2 months of service. Joyce Francine Lewis, math teacher. She's retiring with 32 years. And Noreen Schnert, a bus driver. She's retiring with 33 years and 9 months of service to Toledo Public Schools. That totals 169 years and 4 months of service. We wish everybody well. If you don't mind, can we get a picture with you? Is that okay? Yes, you.
Thank you. I think that brings us to section 3, community comments. Did we resolve our community comments? We do not have any community comments. Section 4, organizational input, and I see that Mr. Ramirez is here. Do you want to tell us how many years that you've been coming to board meetings?
20 years.
20 years, every board meeting for 20 years. We're happy to have you in your role as president of TAAP. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just want to say congratulations for another, let's say, successful year, getting everything that we've gone through, and in summertime, so we are happy to take a break. A lot of things have changed recently over what you've been seeing on TV and the Supreme Court, and some changes. As a union president, we are worried about rights that are happening not only just as to employees, but to citizens, community members, females, everybody that are watching. And we need to band together and support and make sure that voting matters, elections matter. And we need to stand up for what we believe in, and we are going to do that. And my wife is out there standing up for what she does. So I appreciate everybody that's here. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anyone from TFT or AFSCME, so we are ready for the comments by the board. Section 5. Mr. Vasquez.
Yeah, I just have a few comments. One of them is about the smarts video. Ms. Barnes and myself made it to the event that they had. It looked like they were having fun. They did a lot of serious work in the morning. They talk about a lot of important issues. I think one of the biggest issues is how they feel, how safe, that, the degree of safety that they feel, how they have a desire to be safe in all ways, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally. They really talk about a lot of issues, and they talk about it in one of the more intelligent ways, probably one of the most intelligent ways when you look around the country. Our students sometimes exhibit a little bit more common sense when they're talking. So that was very gratifying to see. And when they showed us at the FACE committee the video, Ms. Barnes and I thought that the whole board should see that. It looks like they're having fun. It's a fun kind of video, but they did do a lot of work. The other thing is that, again, our FACE committee was 2.5, 3 hours long. One of the things that we talked about was the hubs. One of the things I want to highlight is how important the hubs are. We talked about a lot of things, but I think that was one of the big things that that garnered a lot of discussion. The other thing that I want to talk about a little bit is I see John Foley, our former superintendent, in attendance, and I just want to give a shout out to John. John was here when I first started on the board, and he doesn't know it, but I go around telling everybody what a mentor he was to me at those times, and those were some pretty tough times. John was just a wonderful person. So I just want to let everybody know how much I appreciate John Foley. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. A couple things. Again, I was also going to point out John Foley. He was a superintendent when my daughter was in school, and I was a parent du jour, right? So thank you, John, for being here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. One of the ones that encouraged me to run for school board. I would also like to comment about the smarts. I think that they have come a long way, and I'm really excited that this board initiative is taken off. and it's empowering student voice, and that's truly what our district should be about. I would like to again congratulate our retirees. Thank you for your service. My goodness, we couldn't do what we do without you. So thank you very much. To the staff, students, and our families, I hope this summer you refresh and rejuvenate and get ready for the next school year. We've got a lot of work to do. Thanks.
Good evening to everyone. As we celebrate the end of another year, I was excited for the graduation season and to see the love of the graduates, their family, and their friends. And as exciting as that was, Mrs. Barwig said it best, that the work still continues. And so as we prepare for another school year, I think we need to be aware and prepared for all of the challenges that are coming against us from a political privileged state. And it's our desire to really make sure that all injustice is turned around. And so we're excited and we are prepared to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, so really it's on my heart to say to the board, staff, and students and parents, guardians, and everyone in this room is mental health. We talk about self-care. If that's a bath for you, great. If it's that Netflix binge, great. Because I know we have a lot of challenging news. But my daughter, my 21-year-old daughter today reminded me of one of my favorite songs. It's by Pat Benatar, Invincible. And she reminded me that we will not stop fighting. And I want you to know that together we are stronger than hate, bigotry, homophobia, transphobia, white supremacy, and they are scared of that. So remember that. They are afraid of us. Being with the SMARTS team, like Mr. Vasquez said, definitely give me hope that our future is bright. They were asking not for Pizza Fridays, they were asking for mental health, how to actually feed families in our schools, how to make sure that every student had a peer mentor. They was actually being better than the Supreme Court, believe it or not. But they give me hope. So I know I'm personally struggling with a lot, but seeing my daughter, seeing the youth, seeing Moms of Mass Action in the room still fighting, that gives me hope that we are invincible. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to echo congratulations for our graduates. It's our why, as I say, when we get to preside over 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 graduations by the time we split them all up, because there are so many. We follow Dr. Duran around, who goes to every single one of them. And it's always a very impressive sprint for a couple of weeks to get through those. So it's our why, and there's nothing that feeds me more than shaking every one of those graduates' hands as they cross the stage. Of course, the SMARTS, our version of student voice. I really just want to thank everyone for keeping that movement alive, and Dr. Duran for taking us seriously when the board said, hey, we're going to have a student voice, and we're going to start with them taking over the Diaz and go from there. So it was well received and obviously continues to grow. Our retirees, we always love it when someone shows up to see us when they retire. And I actually remember walking around the horseshoe myself when I retired from TPS way back in 2009. And I'm not going to lie, that was the first board meeting I'd ever been to. And it was when I retired, and here I am, right? So I couldn't stay away and went from having 30 years of being with the district to now on my 9th year on school board. So I get my education fix as it continues. The new appointments, I think we have a couple of people in the room that are so excited about their next jobs. So we'll be voting on new appointments for the new school year. And thank you for stopping in. And while we do that, it's great to see the passion and the forward enthusiasm for the next school year. It's hard to come up with that when you barely finished the school year and you're wondering, starting to count the weeks of your vacation already as we approach July. But then to get excited about your next assignment is always very refreshing. Moms demanding action, moms and dads demanding action. Really, I think as Ms. Barnes said, seeing you in the room, and especially when, you're in your sea of red shirts, it really does bolster our own resolve. I'm struggling with this constant assault on public education and this assault on basic human dignity that has been dished out to us. And it's hard to, keep on plugging away. So I certainly appreciate that you're doing it, and the tireless colleagues of mine that, work so hard as advocates in the community. It kind of helps. It kind of helps to look around and see that, as hard as it is right now. I think we're in very difficult times, and I appreciate you all being here. Are there any further comments by board members? Good. Okay. I think that brings us to section 6, the consent agenda. I'm going to read through it. Agenda items 601 through 627 are the consent agenda items. Board members may request to pull an item from the consent and move it to the discussion section of the agenda as I pull it out if it's necessary. Items 6.01 through 6.04 are the Human Resources, Staff Development, and Training Committee items that is chaired by me and co-chaired by Mr. Randall Parker. Items 6.05 through 6.16 are the Finance and Business Operations Committee items that is chaired by Mr. Bob Vasquez and co-chaired by Mrs. Chris Barwig. Item 6.17, the Technology Improvement and Process Committee does not have any action items this month. That is chaired by me and co-chaired by Mr. Bob Vasquez. Items 6.18 and 6.19 come to you from the Board Curriculum, Instruction, and Academic Excellence Committee, chaired and co-chaired by myself and Mrs. Chris Barwig. The items 6.20 and 6.21 come from the Policy Committee that is chaired by Ms. Sheena Barnes and co-chaired by Mr. Bob Vasquez. Item 6.22 and 6.23 are from the Arts, Athletic, and Student Activities Committee, chaired by Mrs. Barwig and co-chaired by Mr. Parker. Items 6.24 and 6.25, Family and Community Engagement Committee is chaired by Mr. Bob Vasquez and co-chaired by Ms. Sheena Barnes. Items 6.26 and 6.27 are approval of board minutes. May I have a motion for, one more thing. Section 7 of the agenda consists of reports and minutes and do not require any board action. I do need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Gant, please call the roll.
Ms. Burton,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Barwig,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez? Yes. Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Okay, so as I stumbled around and mentioned, section 7 is reports and minutes from our committee meetings are for information and reference. It's a good time to mention that each of these committees meet at least once a month, but most of them meet once a month. Each of us have 2, 3, or 4 committees, so we're in committee meetings throughout the month to prepare for this month's agenda, and you will see all the work from those individual board committee meeting agendas and minutes that go into what eventually becomes our consent agenda each month. Section 8 is our discussion section. We do have a few items there. One is 8.01, the administrative section from our HR committee. I need a motion to approve item 8.01.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Mr. Gant, please call the roll.
Ms. Gerken?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Barwig?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez? Yes. Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
What we have, sure. Since that administrative section was pulled out into the discussion, we might as well take a second to recognize the people that are here that were in that section, right? Help us out. Yep. Come introduce yourself. Tell us. Thank you. Woo! And we have somebody else.
I'm Natalie McLaughlin. I'm a middle school counselor, and I'm just not sure yet what school I'm going to be at yet.
Thank you. Thank you. And you'll see, yes, by looking at that section of the agenda, you'll be able to see. Go ahead. Yep. At Chase. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else from that section? We have lots of new appointments, a lot of folks moving around in our administrative ranks. So it's going to be a nice, an interesting and fresh year for us in many of our schools. Thank you, everyone. Next in our discussion section is item 8.02, which is a resolution in opposition to House Bill 99. I believe Ms. Barnes has agreed to read that resolution for us.
A resolution in opposition to House Bill 99 and prohibiting school personnel from possessing firearms on TPS property or at TPS events. Whereas House Bill 99, which was signed into law on June 13, 2022, constitutes a dangerous expansion of the presence of guns in Ohio schools by reducing the current firearm training requirements for school personnel from 700 hours to only 24 hours, compared to 180 hours teacher must invest to renew their teacher license. And whereas Army school personnel creates the risk that students will come into possession of firearms in schools and increase the risk of school shootings. And whereas the Toledo Police Department and Toledo Police School resource officers and campus protection officers are in the best position to respond promptly and effectively when needed at any of the buildings within the district. And whereas the Fraternal Order of Police testified against House Bill 99, stating that the training standards were inadequate to prepare school staff to use deadly force. And whereas the Ohio Federation of Teachers and the Ohio Education Association together represent over 141,000 Ohio educators oppose the bill. And whereas school districts such as TPS have worked for years to keep guns out of schools, while the Ohio legislator and now Governor DeWine seeks to put more guns in school. And whereas the board and administration have taken action to implement additional measures to keep students and staff safe in TPS schools, and we will continue to make the safety of TPS students and staff the top priority of the district. Some measures taken by TPS are creation and implementation of crisis management plan, upgrading security system, parenting accountability, meeting and coordinations with emergency responders and law enforcement, communications with family regarding expectations of students, trainings of staff and students in the presence of SORs and CPOs where appropriate. And whereas House Bill 99 gives local school boards the discretion to allow school personnel to be armed, and whereas TPS policy JHF student safety affirms that safety of the students is of concern to all teachers and other staff members, and special attention must be paid to maintaining a safe school environment. And whereas TPS board policy JFCJ, weapons in the schools, affirms that board commitments to providing the students of the district with an educational environment that is free of danger of firearms, knives, and other weapons. And whereas TPS board policy GBM weapons personnel policy prohibits staff members from possessing, storing, making, or using a weapon, including a concealed weapon, in a school safety zone in any setting that is under the control and supervision of the board for the purpose of school activities approved and authorized by the board. Now therefore it resolved by the Board of Education of Toledo City School District that Section 1, the Board of Education does not authorize school employees to carry firearms within the school district and consists with board policy GBM, JHF, and JFCJ. The only individuals authorized to carry a firearm within Toledo Public Schools are Toledo Police Department officers, certain Toledo Public School officers, and other law enforcement personnel. The treasurer is authorized to deliver or cause to be delivered a certified copy of this resolution to committee leaders, to the member of Ohio House of Representatives and the Ohio State Senate, and to the officer of Governor Mike DeWine. This resolution shall be in full force and effective from and immediately after its adoption, and shall supersede any prior resolutions or act of this board, which may be inconsistent with the provision of this resolution. Section 4, if it's hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of the board, and that all deliberations of this board and in any other of its committees that results in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Less guns, not more.
My comments are strictly, this is another form of divisive concepts created by out-of-control state legislature and governor's office.
At the end of the day, fighting fire with fire produces a greater fire.
I would just wish he would listen. I wish people would just sit back and listen to teachers, listen to our students, especially those, and I hate to say urban, but that's what they're using, so I'm going to go ahead and say urban district, to the students who have to live in high gun violence areas every day and know they have lost friends because of misfiring of guns. And I wish people would just listen.
Thank you. I just want to say no, thank you. We are not interested in arming teachers. Mr. Gann, can you call the roll?
Ms. Gerken,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Varwick,
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Hell yes.
Nice one. Just in case anybody wondered where we stood on this. You can't leave because good stuff's still coming. Okay, we have another resolution. Which is item 8.03, a resolution to join litigation opposing vouchers. I'm going to read that resolution. A resolution to join litigation opposing vouchers in Ohio education. Whereas the dedication of funds from the Toledo City School District, TPS, by the Ohio Department of Education and payment of those funds to private schools via the various scholarship voucher programs diminishes the amount of funding and the levels of educational opportunity for the education of students who attend TPS. And whereas the deduction of voucher funds from TPS further reduces the funding available to support the additional needs of all students, particularly those with exceptional needs, students with disabilities, English language learners, and those from economically disadvantaged backgrounds. And whereas the deduction of voucher funds from TPS can result in the involuntary transfer of district local tax revenue approved by the voters of the district for the support of the district's operating expenses to private religious schools for the support of those schools' programs in violation of the rights of the district taxpayers. And whereas the deduction of voucher funds from TPS increases reliance on local tax revenue to maintain school operations in violation of the Ohio Constitution and clear directives of the Ohio Supreme Court. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo City School District that Section 1, the board finds and determines that the deduction of voucher funds from TPS is harmful to the district and its students, taxpayers, voters, and staff. Section 2, the Board of Education authorizes and directs TPS's joinder of the Ohio Coalition for Equity and Adequacy of School Funding, Coalition, and directs the TPS treasurer to pay coalition dues on or after July 1st, 2022, in the sum of $2 per district pupil, according to the enrollment listed on the most recent report card, with dues allocated by the coalition as followed. Number 1, 50 cents per pupil shall be initially allocated to the payment of coalition operating expenses, and $1.50 per pupil shall be allocated to the support of the coalition's efforts in opposition to the deduction of voucher funds from TPS and other school districts. Section 3, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and immediately after its adoption and shall supersede any prior resolution or act of this board, which may be inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution. And Section 4, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board concerning and relating to the passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of this board, and that all deliberations of this board and of any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were meetings open to the public in compliance with all legal requirements, including Section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code. I would like to request a motion to approve item 8.03.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. The only thing I'm going to say is that I support the premise of the lawsuit, and I am against the voucher legislation. And I want to make that very clear, because what I'm going to end up doing is voting no on this resolution. But I'm not voting no, and I want to make it very clear, I'm not voting no because I don't support the intent of the lawsuit, because I do. The reason I'm voting no is that I believe that the existing structure does not guarantee the sustainability for the length of time that I think it's going to take to win a lawsuit like this. I have been involved with other board litigation, and I have learned from that it takes a number of years. I think that went on 6-7 years. It takes a lot of grit, takes a lot of determination to follow through with this kind of litigation. I think this litigation will be the same. It's going to take a while. It's going to take a number of years. I hope I'm wrong, because I want it to succeed. So for that reason, I hope I'm wrong. In the past, we structured ours with only the involvement of 3 or 4 or 5 other districts, but this involves the entire state. The litigation right now is structured so that there's an annual contribution of the districts that join. So what that means is that each year, each district can opt in or out. I think that limits the resources that are going to be needed to follow through with this litigation. Like I said, the determination of any district can fluctuate. Therefore, the resources will fluctuate from year to year. The second reason is that this effort is generally led by smaller districts, which means, according to the formula, less resources. When the rest of the urbans join in, the resources will grow. And I hope they do. Number three, as of now, TPS is not a member of the steering committee and therefore not part of the governance and not having oversight of the spending of our money. Number four, as we have found in other instances, the legislators can change the law. We can win this legislation, but as they tried in the past, they go write different legislation that'll sidestep whatever the findings are in this litigation. And lastly, if the litigation is successful, all districts will benefit from it. It would be nice if all districts would join, but that's, as I said, that's not the case. I want to end with, I hope that this litigation is successful. However, as it is, I don't feel confident that this is the best way to spend the taxpayers' money until the shortcomings that I have mentioned are addressed. The best way to address this issue is to go to the polls and vote for legislators that will support public schools and stop dismantling the public school system. And will hold the school systems equally responsible and hold all school systems accountable the same, because that's not happening right now. And I hope that the litigation that is finally successful will bring back transparency to the taxpayers and the voters. So again, I want to make it clear, I hope they're successful. I just, right now, just don't think spending the money really, and it's taxpayer money, just really, I'm just not really confident that it's a good investment the way things are structured. Thank you.
So first, I would like to thank Mr. Vasquez for his comments. I think it's always good to hear diverse perspectives and different lenses. And I take what you say and absorb that. I will say that I look at this litigation, as much as I don't want any litigation, as a protection of taxpayer dollars. And when I say that, vouchers currently, when a student goes to or utilizes a voucher to a private school, there's truly not an accountability piece for those taxpayer dollars that are spent. And in public schools, you can see where we spend every penny. And I think that's really important. So I'm going to be voting yes for this litigation, mostly to protect the taxpayer dollars. 90% of students in the state of Ohio attend public schools. That's where the dollars should go. I am absolutely 100% for school choice. I think that's an important component to have. I absolutely do. I actually believe that public schools offer the best choice. And this state should invest in public education. If you want to send your child to a private school, pay for it, just like any other choice. We have police and fire that we pay with taxpayer dollars. We are in the same position. No one can go out and hire professional security with your taxpayer dollars for your individual house. It's the same message for public education. If you want that private security, pay for it. Taxpayer dollars are for the common good, for the general public. We want our children to be educated. And unfortunately, with this voucher obsessed legislature, I see additional attacks on public ed, and they're going to want to open up taxpayer wallets to pay for private funding. this litigation to me is the only clear way for us to try and put a stop to it. I agree with you, voting 100%. Every day, all day, I will vote for those that advocate for public education. But until I see that happen, this litigation may make the legislators hold their breath for a moment. And I hope that's the case. I actually think going on the offense is a good thing. I'm tired of playing defense with these guys. Completely tired of it. They're completely out of control. Their divisive concepts, adding guns to schools, the list goes on. Vouchers, in my opinion, are just part of that process, the attack on public ed as a whole. So with that said, I will be pushing for this piece of litigation. I also take your comments on Mr. Vasquez, because I do think that if we approve this tonight, that TPS will have a seat at that steering table. And if there are issues that we all feel that need change, we can certainly voice those concerns. I know just from connecting with school board members across the state of Ohio that many of those districts are looking to see that TPS is going to pass this tonight and will join in as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. Thank you so much for your perspective of this. Absolutely appreciate the honesty that came from that. And I will also be voting yes because I'm in agreement with Mrs. Varwig about it being about protection. I really feel like at any moment, Rod Sterling's going to walk in and tell us we're in the twilight zone. I really feel it's so much that happens like back to back to back. And at the end of the day, we can't continue laying down. We've got to be on the offense. And I am a product of public education. So at the end of the day, I'm always going to fight for public education in every aspect. My children are products of public education. And so we again have these political entitled people by any means necessary that will try to destroy and put an attack on public education. So I'm definitely going to vote yes on this because I believe that this litigation will help us really be that light to take a stand against all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Vasquez, I respect your comment because you're so young and wise. But I want to take a moment because this is bigger than this resolution. You have senators tweeting about, yay, something passed. Okay, let's go to Brown versus Board of Education. That's the goal. And I feel like sometimes because of things are scary, things can get expensive. They're bigger than us. They have more power than us, that we wait. And I don't think we can wait any longer. We know other things are coming down the pipeline and they have already started. They are literally attacking our students with policies and trying to now force themselves on our young female students, athlete students, because of their transphobia. This is what we're dealing with, and I feel we can no longer stand by. They may be bigger, they may have more money, but they're not more powerful than us. And I am hopeful that not only us, but districts in Ohio start to step up to protect our students and our employees like we should. Thank you.
Thank you. Vouchers Hurt Ohio. That's the tagline, and that's the name of the coalition. They have a website, Vouchers Hurt Ohio, and it's pretty good if anyone wants to take a look at it. I think I counted well over 100 school districts that have already joined the litigation. And yes, they are the smaller school districts that went first. Imagine that. We could take that either way. Oh, it finally affects them, so now they're going to step up when we've been hurt by vouchers for a lot longer. So there's a little bit of rub there. But there's also the fact that if we're among the first few city school districts to step up, then that means we're leading and not following. So I'm okay with being only the second or third big city school district that joins this litigation. And we were assured that we would be offered a seat on that steering committee. So I look forward to having a board member involved at that table all along once we get started. One of the first, I think, orders, one of the first things that were heard on this resolution early on, or just recently, was two organizations that were trying to be part of the opposition to it so that they could get in the middle of it. And when we learned that one of those organizations was verified to be backed by the Cook brothers, that was my answer. It might have been the thing to scare us off by saying we'll never raise enough money from our school districts and our friends of public education to battle the Cook brothers. But that's exactly what they expect, is to continue to dismantle public education as we know it. So I will be supporting joining this litigation, and we may be in it for the long haul, and I think that that's a commitment I'm willing to make.
I just want to nominate Mr. Vasquez or Mr. Parker for that.
We'll get there. Is there any other discussion? Mr. Dan, please call the roll.
Ms. Gerken,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Varwig,
Oh, yes.
Mr. Vasquez,
No,
Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
We have another resolution. It's a big night for resolutions. We have one more for you, 8.04, and I think Mr. Vasquez is going to have a lot more fun with this one than he did with the last one. So we're going to give him the floor to read it.
yes, it's my pleasure to read this resolution. It's a resolution nominating Chris Varwig for the Ohio School Boards Association's Recognition Award. Whereas Chris Varwig, a board member at the Toledo Public Schools, has served the district with distinction, and whereas Chris Varwig has served as a TPS board committee member on the curriculum, policy, OSFC, finance, community and public relations, athletics, family and community engagement committees, she has also provided leadership during district labor negotiations and levy campaigns. And whereas Chris has held a leadership role in the TPS board regarding legislative advocacy efforts, including testimony to the state legislature on issues such as state report cards, vouchers, and stress commissions. She extended that advocacy to the national level, where she represented the Ohio School Boards Association through the Federal Relations Network. And whereas Chris has served as president and vice president of the Toledo Board of Education and as president of the OSBA Northwest region, and whereas Chris Varwig has dedicated her time for the betterment of the students and community, and whereas Chris Varwig has proven to be dedicated to the craft of board governance through her commitment to service and governance skills, and whereas such measures have advanced student achievement in the district and improved the governance of the district. Now therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Toledo School District that Section 1, the Board of Education of Toledo City School District nominates Chris Varwig for the Ohio School Boards Association Recognition Award. Section 2, this resolution shall be in full force and effect from and immediately after its adoption, and shall supersede any prior resolution or act of this board which may be inconsistent with the provisions of this resolution. And Section 3, it is hereby found and determined that all formal actions of this board relating to the passage of this resolution were taken in an open meeting of the board, and that all deliberations of the board and of any of its committees that resulted and such formal actions were in meetings open to the public in compliance with legal requirements, including section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Bob's got it.
Yeah, I'm just glad this is before us, Chris, because I can't think that we can have any better candidate to put forward to the Ohio School Board Association than you and all of your hard work. And you can see by the prior resolution and what was included in this and your hard work, including your commitment to or commitment against vouchers and all the legislative work that you've done. But you've done work all the way across the board. And I admire you so much. I'm proud to be your colleague, and I'm proud to be part of the board to nominate you for this recognition.
Ms. Marwood, I just want to say that I'm almost confident that you're going to hear the same thing across this board. There is no one that is more deserving of this nomination than you. We want to say thank you for all that you continue to do and for really teaching us what student-centered decisions look like. So we really appreciate you, and we thank you for just being that light and taking a stand and being that one that will not be hidden. So we thank you again. You're going to hear some of the same stuff, so just be surprised every time you hear it.
Well, it's a saying, give them roses. And when I met you and saw the fire, I said, I got to change that. I said, give them roses while you're still kicking butt. And so this is a perfect opportunity because I see your fire. I see your love for our district, for our babies, for our students, because you make me as another parent know that I picked the right district to raise my babies in. When I see dedicated, passionate board members who may have cussed more than me sometimes, when our babies are not being treated fair. And I can only thank you from the bottom of my heart because you have led the way and you are a big inspiration to not only me, but other parents that we can make a difference. So thank you.
I know, and this is just a nomination. Wait till we all come to Columbus when you get the award. So, look, this is what leadership is. I mean, really, truly, leadership comes so naturally. I'll just recall a moment when we were both on the ballot to be on the school board for the first time, both of us. There were lots of other moments during that campaign season that, maybe worth remembering someday. But I just remember it was something like we were all going to be on TV. So we're on this big Diaz. It was Channel 30, and they were going to there were like 15 people running for school board. It was really different than the last few races where no one paid attention to us at all. And I just remember after hearing you answer a couple of questions that it just felt like just hearing your voice made me feel like the students of this district were in good hands. So there was just right from the start, without knowing you and without seeing you in action, I didn't know those years of your advocacy and your, standing here talking to school boards that but I just knew we were in good hands. And it's only years later, and here you are about to be the president of the Ohio School Board Association. So there's no denying that this is what leadership, relentless leadership and passion looks like. So we're happy to nominate you for this, and I'm sure many more opportunities to recognize you for your service are in front of us, because I know that you are not finished. We have lots to do. So if there's no, I'm sorry, of course.
No, well, number one, I want to thank my colleagues because, listen, at the end of the day, it takes a team. And without your support, I couldn't do what I do in leadership role. Without the administration that we have here, I would not have learned to become a better board member, and they have supported me in this effort. Certainly, I always thank my family because God help them. You should see me at home. I will say that public education has been my foundation and my lifeline throughout my life. And it is an honor and a privilege to get to advocate for it. And I'm so appreciative. You know, my whole family is public education, graduates. And, whether it was my daughter and now my granddaughter is, a first grader in the district. And I know her siblings are coming right on behind. So I'm excited about this opportunity with the Ohio School Board Association. It is certainly a, something that TPS should be very proud of, that they have a board member leading that organization next year. It hasn't been since 1974, and a female to boot, right? So, the fighting spirit, all I have to do is think about our students and our babies, and that gives me all the motivation I need. So I thank my colleagues for recognizing that. I certainly appreciate that, but I will abstain from this vote because I can't just vote for myself.
If there's no further discussion, we should call the roll.
Ms. Gergen,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Ms. Varwick,
Abstain.
Mr. Vasquez,
Yes.
Ms. Barnes.
Yes.
You'll all be happy to know that completes my star now for OHSBA. So I completed my aptitude test. It's not easy. That's not easy, 2 hours, just saying. So you should all take it though, right?
I want to add that Mr. Gant in Mr. Sec Schulte's place, you need to get this resolution down to OSBA immediately so that she can join the nominations. And we need to do that very quickly.
There's a deadline. Okay, so I think we're at section 9, which are walk-ins. Do we have any walk-ins?
No walking.
No walk-ins. In section 10 are early childhood education action items. Ms. Barnes.
Thanks to my wonderful fellow board member, I'm going to turn it over. He was there in my absence.
And I'll turn it over to Dr. Al.
Turn it over to.
That's your call, passing the buck.
We are asking for approval for 4 different items this month. The first one is the selection criteria for our new infant and toddler classroom for our expecting parents, adolescents in the district. And then we also have 3 contract amendments, one for our partner East Toledo Family Center, one for Great Lakes Community Action, and one for Douglas County Family Council. And those contract amendments are either for COLA, 2 are for COLA, and the East Toledo Family Center is for the new program year as we enter the next school year. And I believe I shared that the 3 contracts can be bundled for one vote, but the selection criteria does need its own. Thanks.
I'll move 10.01 expectant parenting student program EHS selection criteria.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I would like to make a comment about this. It is a long time coming, and we should be very proud of ourselves for going this extra length of finding a safe way for our expectant and our parenting youth to have a high quality early childhood or daycare situation while they continue their education. I'm going to make a political comment now that says, in light of some recent Supreme Court decisions, maybe we're going to need to invest a much more money into these kinds of programs. So we're gonna make sure that, to the best of our ability, our young people who are parenting have a safe way to continue their education while their children are also in a high quality setting. So I am very pleased that we are going to be able to start down that path. Thank you, Dr. Allen, for spearheading this. It's really a big deal. It's really a big deal.
I always want to cheer for this and say yay, because you don't know the impact. And as a person who had their first child at 14 and a half years old, daycare was essential for keeping me in school to graduate. And I am so glad that we are giving our young parents that opportunity without the challenges that I had to go through. And we are thinking beyond the stigma that comes with being I'm going to say the word teenage parents because it's not dirty. It happens. It's reality. And we're removing that stigma to say they're still students. So I'm so happy that we are doing this. And I agree that we need to look at other ways to make sure we can help all in those situations.
Any further discussion? Mr. Gant, please call the roll.
Ms. Gerken?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Varwick?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I think I just need a motion to bundle 10.02, 03, and 04.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Gant, please call the roll.
Ms. Varwick? I'm sorry, Ms. Gerken?
Yes.
It's a tough job. Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Varwick?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
It's okay, Mr. Gant, you have big shoes to fill.
That's right. Okay, that was section 10. The section 11 of the agenda consists of early childhood education reports and minutes from this month's committee meetings and are provided for your information and reference. No action is required, so we can proceed to section 12, ECE walk-ins. Are there any walk-ins from early childhood?
There is none.
Thank you. Section 13, superintendent comments.
Again, thanks to the board members coming out for graduation. I think one student will come to mind. Her name is Miracle. She's a student who had a parent as well as a sibling die in a house fire during COVID. And she stayed on track and graduated on track. So it just shows the resiliency of our student. Again, kudos for the leadership of this board. In regards, I tell the kids all the time, if you don't apply for a scholarship, you'll never receive one. The board is always putting steps forward to put nominations for individuals. We would never get a superintendent award, a treasurer's award, a teacher of the year award, or even a board member if we don't apply. And every one of you have always thought out, and the email that came out that, hey, let's make sure we put someone through for this award. And congratulations to you, Ms. Barwick, on that. And so it just excites me to see that, because when we did our bond rating, that's what they looked at in regard to how we were perceived by our peer group. And it made a huge difference in increasing our bond rating to save taxpayers dollars over the years. So again, thank you, and TPS proud.
Mr. Treasurer Pro Tem, any comments?
No comments, is here to serve.
Here to serve. Board members, comments?
Yeah, I just want to say how difficult it was for me to vote against joining that lawsuit. I hope it's successful. And I mean that with everything I've got, that it's successful. The other thing I want to do is I want to congratulate Ms. Varwick and Dr. Durant's right. When we see good leadership, we need to share it with whoever we can. And it was an easy one. I love those. I love voting for those easy ones. Thank you.
And I would like to keep it positive, but unfortunately we have the State House that we have to talk about. So House Bill 583, which was great. It was a substitute teacher bill, and it really helps public education. Unfortunately, the House and Senate decided to add at the last minute basically sweetheart deals for underperforming charter school sponsors and created loopholes for more vouchers. So I'm just going to call them out because we see you. We see you, which is why we're joining the litigation.
Pay attention. Pay attention. Thank you.
Remember mental health, because it's going to be a long road, and keep raging against the machine. We are invincible. That's going to be the only thing that gets us through this bull. And I'm so glad to be among a lot of good troublemakers. So keep making good trouble.
I opened a letter today that took a while to catch up with me, as snail mail sometimes does. It sits in our little box here at the district, and when we're in the building, it gets passed along. I'm sorry I didn't see this sooner, but I'm looking forward to responding to this young woman who is a student at the Toledo School for the Arts, but she had been a Toledo Public School student for a long time and was praising us and talking about how much she entirely relied on Ohio's education system. And she just simply asked for us, the board, to resist legislation such as, and she talks about House Bill 322 and things addressing divisive concepts. And then she talks about House Bill 327. And then she goes on to tell me all about why it's important that we as a board speak up against these things, because it's likely people will listen to us. So I'm glad she thinks that people are going to listen to us. And I can't wait to give her the list of resolutions that we have passed to prove that we're at least trying to fight at every board meeting, month in and month out, against this assault on public education. So I might have to have someone help me put the list together again, because there's been so many, so that I can let this young woman know that we indeed are trying, and thank her for thinking of us as being leaders, and that someone might actually listen if we make those resist those assaults. So that was kind of a fun letter to open, even though it was a little late.
I probably have a social media meme that I've created about those House bills.
Madam President,
Yes, yes, of course.
can I say something else too? I'm glad to see groups out here fighting for the things that are the right things to do. I have to say, I get so frustrated when they get down over all the things that are going on in education and around. I really wish we could have an effort where, if we go around the district and we talk about this lawsuit, we're going to be talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. I really wish we could take hundreds of thousands of dollars to mobilize the voters to vote, because I really think people don't listen. And I do understand the fact that you can't persuade people, so your only option is legal. And I believe in that. And I think that that's what happens. It only leaves us with that option. Because we can't persuade them. We've tried. I think we've demonstrated that we have tried. But the way to take care of this is to vote the right people in. So I really wish there was an effort for several $100,000 to mobilize voters to support public schools. That's a dream of mine.
Well, since we're talking about that topic, and I'll leave it with this, civics education, which was actually taken out of public schools. So I'm gonna be making, that's my next big effort, is civics education. So get ready, you guys.
Right, they keep mandating other things they're supposed to teach, but they don't really want people to learn what they need to learn to have a democracy. Are we good? I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
And moved and seconded. It's always the quickest one.
Ms. Gerken?
Yes.
Mr. Parker?
Yes.
Ms. Barwick?
Yes.
Mr. Vasquez?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.